In celebration of Black History Month, the Black Leadership Alliance is pleased to be able to host, along with other agencies and organizations, this unveiling. You will hear more about the committee. We will also personally thank those individuals who have worked diligently on putting this program together. The Black Leadership Alliance was founded in 2007 by State Representative Raymond A. Jordan, as well as then Senior Vice President of Mass Mutual, Ron Copes. The Black Leadership Alliance our mission is to build and strengthen the Black community by positively impacting the quality of life. And we embrace the housing, economic development, health and wellness, art, culture, and youth development. Gwen Ifill's contributions to journalism and humanity were impactful and will be used to educate the next generation of journalists. And she had, as most of you know, a very personal connection to the Springfield community that you will hear about shortly. Also, the Colton family, my family, were members of Bethel Church for a number of years. Reverend Ifill married me in 1971 to my former husband, and so I also have a very personal connection to Bethel and certainly to Reverend Ifill and Gwen. So we're just pleased to be here to celebrate a woman who contributed so much to this nation and so much to journalism and so much to the city of Springfield along with her family. I'm going to ask the current pastor of Bethel AME Church to give us an invocation. Pastor McCullum, thank you.
Good afternoon. Join me, however you will, in a moment of prayer. Our holy and gracious God, how grateful we are for this moment. This moment that we are blessed to see. This moment where we can pause to thank you. In this month celebrating our heritage, in this city celebrating one of our own. We give you thanks and praise, for we know that Gwen Ifill, her family, and her legacy were a gift from you. And so, Holy God, we ask that you would smile upon this moment, smile continually upon our city. Help us, O God, to live into the legacy that Sister Ifill left for all of us. Be with us in this moment of celebration and this moment of remembrance. Bless us all, we pray, in your most holy name. Let God's people say, amen.
I also want to make sure I'm welcoming the members of Bethel AME Church. Could I ask you to stand or wave your hand wherever you are? Thank you very much for taking the time to be here, and thank you to the greater Springfield community who are here as well. To give comments and reflections on Gwen Ifill, I have the pleasure of introducing or inviting to the podium our Congressman, Richard E. Neal. Certainly, I have known, and most of you have known, Congressman Neal for a number of years. We know his contribution to this region. He was someone that my family certainly had a very close connection to as we grew up on Amore Road, and his family lived across the street, and he was the paper boy for my grandparents. And so it is a very personal connection. Please welcome Congressman Neal.
Thanks, Ellen. Thanks, Ellen. I can start by saying the Coltons were good tippers. Thanks very much for inviting me to this very important ceremony during Black History Month, highlighted by the fact that I actually knew not only Gwen, but I knew her dad at the AMA, Ifill O. Ifill. He was very fond of using Latin phrases. He liked very much pro bono publico. He liked that very much. He liked talking about e pluribus unum. He was part of the city's Human Rights Commission at the time, and I think it's fair to say for those of you who were parishioners, he could give a sermon. And he was very active in the community during that time. And the last time that I saw Gwen Ifill was just about 12 years ago. And how do I remember precisely that? She was getting off the bus in New Hampshire to cover the presidential primary. She stopped and she said, "You knew my father." And I said, "I did know your dad." We chatted for a few moments. And of course, as a good journalist, she hurried on. It's a chance to thank all of you for what you've done. I was pleased to hear Ray's name mentioned. And in addition to that, the Postal Service, which I've been a big booster of and a believer in. I still think those footprints in the snow are very important for all of us in terms of a sense of security. But I think that we also acknowledge the role that PBS plays in our lives. And at the passing of Jim Lear, where you could see some of the nice photographs of Gwen and Jim Lear together, I was looking at the 10 commandments that Jim had published about being a journalist. And Gwen would have subscribed to every single one of them. In one, for all of us at this particular time, given the need for responsible journalism, Jim Lear's suggestion, we are not entertainers. We don't entertain the American people, we inform them. And Gwen fully subscribed to that. So she was a transformative figure. And here at Classical High School, one of the more notable graduates, I'm always proud of this building. It was done when I was mayor. Kurt Noyes was the developer. But most importantly, for all of you who have come out today to honor this pretty remarkable life, thank you from the United States of America.
Thank you, Congressman. Thank you very much for being here. We are going to sing the Black National Anthem. It's on the back of your program, and so if I could ask us to stand if you're able, and please sing the Black National Anthem.
Let it resound.
Thank you. I want to also recognize City Councilor Kateri Walsh, who has joined us. Thank you, Councilor Walsh, for being here. I'd also like to acknowledge those members of the Black Leadership Alliance who are present. Haskell Kennedy, thank you for being here. Darrell Moss, thank you for being here. Jamina Scipio McFadden, thank you for being here. And our next individual who's going to speak is also a member of the Black Leadership Alliance, and she will take the time to do our acknowledgement. She is the Executive Director of the Springfield Housing Authority, Ms. Denise Jordan.
Good afternoon. I have the honor and privilege for acknowledging the partners that made today possible. As I stand here in this sacred atrium of Classical, I am a proud graduate. I'm a bulldog from Classical High School, class of 1980-something. I know, I think there's some bulldogs in this house. Yeah, okay. So, on behalf of this committee, I would like to thank Bethel AME Church, Senior Pastor Marcus T. McCullum, the members of Bethel, New England Public Media, WGBY, Anthony Hayes, COO, raise your hand, Anthony. Miss Rosemary Woods, Art for the Soul Gallery. The Historic Classical Incorporated, President Rhonda Brace. The United States Postal Service, City of Springfield's Postmaster is Mr. Joe Conti. Traveling all the way from New York, Amy Gibbs, who is the Strategic Communications Specialist. And she is joined by Joanna Stover, the station manager from Springfield. And then Kelly Callahan is the station manager. One's at Forest Park and one at Springfield. And I would also like to thank, I'm going to take privilege to save the best for last. You see some women that have on red and pearls. These are women of the Springfield Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Our president is Willette Yarbrough Johnson. We are honored to serve as hostesses for this afternoon's event. Gwen Ifill is a proud honorary member of Delta Sigma Theta, inducted in 2011. So we are here to honor our late soror, and we thank you for allowing us to be a part of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise Jordan. Mayor Sarno had a conflict and could not be here. He really did want to be here because he was celebrating with us the life of Gwen Ifill, but he has sent the Director of Constituent Services for the City of Springfield, Darrell Moss.
Good afternoon. Give yourselves a round of applause just for being here. It's a beautiful day. All right. Again, my name is Darrell Moss, and the mayor does wish he could, in fact, be here. But he did send a proclamation, so at this time, I'm going to share this proclamation with everyone here. Be it known that the City of Springfield, Massachusetts hereby extends its congratulations to Gwen Ifill. Gwen Ifill, born in the Queens neighborhood of Jamaica in New York City, the fifth of 6 children of African Methodist Episcopal minister Irsel Ifill Sr., a Panamanian of Barbadian descent, and Eleanor Ifill, who was from Barbados. Gwen Ifill, an American journalist, television newscaster, and author. In 1999, she became the first woman of African descent to host a nationally televised U.S. public affairs program with Washington Week in Review. Ifill was the moderator and managing editor of the Washington Week and co-anchor and co-manager editor with Judy Woodruff of the PBS NewsHour, both of which air on PBS. Ifill was a political analyst and moderated the 2004 and 2008 vice presidential debates. She authored the best-selling book, The Breakthrough: Politics and Race in the Age of Obama. The 43rd stamp in the Black Heritage Series honors Gwen Ifill, one of the nation's most esteemed journalists. The stamp art features a photo of Ifill taken in 2008 by photographer Ben Savary. Art director Derry Noyes designed the stamp. I apologize. Be it further known that I, Dominic J. Sarno, Mayor of the great city of Springfield, on behalf of the residents of our great city, does herefore pronounce this day, Sunday, February 9, 2020, as Gwen Ifill Day in the great city of Springfield, and strongly encourages every resident to be aware of this event and participate suitably in its observance. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Pastor McCullum, are you still here? I'd like to present this proclamation to Bethel Church. If you could come up and accept it for us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next presenter, I want you to join me in congratulating this young woman. I am bursting with pride. She is the new executive director of the UMass Center Springfield. She is Jamina Scipio McFadden.
Good afternoon. In moments like this, it's important to really have a moment to capture the essence of the one in which we recognize. So at the request of the committee, I've been asked to read the biography of our honoree. PBS TV journalist Gwen Ifill was born on September 29, 1955 in New York City to her parents. The Reverend O. Ursel Ifill Sr., an African-American Methodist Episcopal minister who hailed from Panama, and her mother, Eleanor Husbands, from Barbados. Her father's ministry required the family to live in several cities in different church parsonages throughout New England, including Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and New York, where the family resided in federally subsidized housing. Ifill's interest in journalism was rooted in her parents' insistence that their children gather nightly in front of the television to watch the national news. In 1973, when I happened to be born, Ifill graduated from Classical High School here in Springfield, this very place where we stand. 4 years later, she received her Bachelor of Arts degree in communication from Simmons College in Boston, and during her senior year, she interned at the Boston Herald American newspaper. Ifill worked at the Boston Herald American newspaper as a reporter in 1977. She left in 1980 to work as a writer for the Baltimore Evening Sun, where she was able to work as a political reporter. In 1984, Ifill moved to Washington, D.C. to work as a political reporter for the Washington Post, where she covered the suburban Maryland beat until 1988, when she was promoted to the national news desk and sent to report on the Republican National Convention. Ifill then accepted a position as White House correspondent for the New York Times in 1991. She went on to NBC News in 1994 and worked in the Washington, D.C. Bureau as chief congressional and political correspondent. In 1999, Ifill became the first African-American woman to host a prominent political talk show on national television when she became moderator and managing editor of PBS's Washington Week and senior political correspondent for the PBS NewsHour. In 2004, Ifill moderated the vice presidential debate between Republican Vice President Dick Cheney and Democratic Senator John Edwards. And in 2008, she moderated the vice presidential debate between Democratic Senator Joe Biden and Republican Governor Sarah Palin. Ifill was the recipient of numerous awards, including the George Foster Peabody Award and the Leonard Zeidenberg First Amendment Award. Her book, The Breakthrough: Politics and Race in the Age of Obama, was published in 2009. Ifill passed away on November 14, 2016. Today we honor her legacy, and for the young people in the room, it's important to remember these moments and where you were when you witnessed the unveiling of the Gwen Ifill stamp. Thank you.
The committee, again, has worked very hard, and we've had individuals on the committee who came early to set up, to be here, who are just really very important in putting this together, and none more important or more committed than Rhonda Brace, she is the president of Historical Classical Incorporated. But Rhonda has really just been amazing as far as helping us put this event together. Rhonda Brace.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I'm a classical bulldog, 1979. Historical Classical Inc. is dedicated to preserving the memory and legacy of the former Classical High School and its alumni. It is in this place, the former Classical High School, that Gwen Ifill, as a student from 1970 to 1973, walked the halls of to her classes and participated in such activities as the choir, Blue and White, which is the yearbook staff, the Senate, the Forum, and the student government. It is in this place, the lower atrium, where Gwen had lunch in the school cafeteria with friends, and in the atrium above, sat with classmates in the school auditorium for assemblies and special events. We have one of her classmates is here, I know that, Billy Freeman. Today, in this place, we come to celebrate one of Classical High School's most renowned alum, Gwen Ifill, with the unveiling of a commemorative United States postal stamp. Her presence is felt today as it was when she was a student at Classical High School, and it is fitting that we come here to honor her life again at the foundation that her legacy of journalism and government was built on. Thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you very much. We are going to move to our video presentation. Are we prepared for the video presentation? You know, technology always messes up for me, so I'm going to ask the question, are we ready for the video presentation?
Some people leave a mark long after they are gone. Gwen Ifill is one of them. And as of today, her smile can stick to any message you write. I was grateful to be there this morning when my friend, the NewsHour's former co-anchor, was honored with a special postage stamp. The moment was celebrated at her spiritual home. It was an event that drew stamp collectors.
I belong to a stamp club, a black stamp club that collects Afro-American stamps. Because of the honor that she's receiving today, I wanted to come.
And Gwen Ifill fans from far and wide.
The stamp is something that you put on the note to send to your friend. People all over this country are going to be doing that, and they're going to know why I chose the Gwen stamp, because she was thoughtful, she was kind, and she was dedicated to the American public.
The U.S. Postal Service officially unveiled the Gwen Ifill Black Heritage Forever stamp at a dedication ceremony at the Metropolitan AME Church in Washington, D.C. Gwen's brother, Bert, accepted the honor on behalf of the Ifill family and recited a poem he wrote.
It is titled, Gwen Forever. Gwen's smile, her confident smile, compassionate, consoling, cognizant, beams out at us. Posterity has given its stamp of approval. When we have something to say too difficult or complicated to express in a text or over the phone, she will be with us. Our memories, now direct and sharp, will fade over time, just as our lives will. But Gwen's image, legacy, spirit will endure.
Gwen's stamp puts her in the pantheon of other black trailblazers honored with a stamp, including Rosa Parks, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Ida B. Wells, and Jackie Robinson. Former U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder was a good friend.
Today, more than ever, and in this city, at this time, and on this day, the need for her is painfully acute. This is a time for journalists to be brave, demanding, unyielding, persistent, and committed to sharing truth with the nation.
Gwen's career in journalism began in newspapers, the Baltimore Sun, the Washington Post, and the New York Times.
Even marginal progress.
She moved to television in 1994 with a stint at NBC News.
They have to find a way to work with this president for the next 2 years.
Then it was on to PBS in 1999, moderating Washington Week in Review.
Gwen Ifill.
Becoming one of the first black women to host a national political program.
And to our new senior correspondent, Gwen Ifill. Welcome, Gwen.
Here at the NewsHour for 17 years, her work took her around the country.
This weekend, the political yin and yang of a crowded field all descended in Iowa at once.
Reporting on politics, sitting down with singing legends.
How do you handle the weight of the divaness of this all? You have a lot of flair.
I love to sing.
Moderating vice presidential debates.
I want to talk to you about AIDS, and not about AIDS in China or Africa, but AIDS right here in this country.
And interviewing heads of state.
The notion that somehow America is in decline is just not borne out by the facts.
But it resonates. It resonates among a lot of aggrieved people who are voting in big numbers for Donald Trump.
In 2016, at the age of 61, Gwen died of cancer, leaving her colleagues and fans devastated. As she rose higher in her career, Gwen mentored many aspiring young journalists, especially women of color. Her pastor, the Reverend William H. Lamar IV, said Gwen believed her connections to African American communities was essential.
Gwen did not seek, nor did she accept the tantalizing offer to graduate from her blackness. Gwen found gifted black women and opened doors for them that she had to kick down.
During today's ceremony, Gwen's work and values also were recognized by two former presidents, Obama and Clinton. Longtime journalist Michelle Norris was one of her closest friends.
It is fitting that Gwen's image is on a stamp, and that stamps are the way that we communicate and remain connected with each other. Because Gwen was one of those people that Malcolm Gladwell might call a connector. She loved bringing people together.
Her cousin, Sherilyn Ifill, president of the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, and many others treated the day as a celebration.
Nothing has done more to heal the pain of losing her than those three simple words: Gwen Ifill forever. And at this moment in our country, those words mean so much. For our family, Gwen Ifill forever means that our parents' and our grandparents' struggles were not in vain. They live on in each of us forever.
The Gwen Ifill Black Heritage Stamp went on sale at U.S. post offices nationwide today. It was a beautiful ceremony today. I was so honored to be there. Gwen lives on inside each one of us at the NewsHour every day. And online, you can find a link to watch the whole ceremony for Gwen. That is on our website, pbs.org/newshour.
Thank you. You know, watching that clip reminded me of excellence in journalism, doesn't it? When we look around this nation and we turn on the television and we see how polarized we are as a nation and what we are hearing from the media and reporters, when you think about the life of Gwen Ifill, this woman was an excellent reporter. She was an excellent daughter. She was an excellent family member. She personified excellence. And so we are blessed to be here today to be able to celebrate that excellence. We are going to unveil the stamp, and I would ask the members of the committee to come up and help us do that. Congressman Neal, Councilor Walsh, you can join us as well if you'd like.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Joanna, Joe Conti, and Kelly Callahan. We're representatives of the United States Postal Service here in Springfield. Joe's the postmaster. Kelly and I are station managers. So we also have a little something to say. It truly is an honor for all of us to be here. On behalf of the United States Postal Service, we would like to thank all of you for taking time here today to celebrate the 43rd stamp in our Black Heritage Stamp Series. It is a pleasure to honor the late Gwen Ifill. A tour de force in the world of journalism is in such a meaningful way. As we stand here today inside her former high school, we can imagine young Ifill in 1973 between these very walls, sowing the seeds of a long and fruitful career in journalism as she puts her pen to the paper. It is fitting that Ifill be commemorated on a stamp. Journalism, the field that launched Ifill and fueled her passion, shares a common bond with postage stamps. They both travel far and wide. Their reach is limitless. They both have public influence and share information about what or who is important to the world. Now, as Ifill joins our Black Heritage Stamp Series, she joins the ranks of Harriet Tubman, honored on the first Black Heritage Stamp in 1978. She stands alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was the second in the series. Last year, we honored the esteemed tap dance legend Gregory Hines as the 42nd in the series, and now Ifill as the 43rd. As you can see, she is in good company. It might surprise you to hear that journalism itself has a long and engraved history with the Postal Service. Benjamin Franklin, who we like to consider our founder, wore quite a few hats in his time. Two of these hats he wore at the same time. He was a postmaster and he was a newspaper publisher. In that dual role, a situation that wasn't uncommon in those days, he helped to create an early version of the wire service. And because mail was the only communication infrastructure that bound our country together, the Postal Service became the nation's earliest newspaper delivery system. That early partnership still exists today, with billions of newspapers and news publications delivered by the Postal Service every year. Throughout its history, the Postal Service has recognized some of America's greatest and most innovative journalists through our stamp programs. And now, coming full circle back to where Ifill has her journalism roots, we are inducting another of America's greatest journalists into this distinguished group, Gwen Ifill. We are delighted here today to celebrate her legacy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We very much appreciate your
So we do have a limited number. So those folks that are seated, stay seated. And then Teresa Bryant has some, so it's first come, first served, but they're forever stamps. So we really want to encourage everyone to go to the post office. And if you would like the commemorative stamp, the official stamp, you can order it online from the United States Postal Service.
So we do want to end by thanking the U.S. Postal Service. And of course, Ms. Tracy, thank you very much for jumping in and helping as well. But I want to thank the U.S. Postal Service because it was important that you came. You made sure the stamp was here. You worked with us, and we very much are so appreciative. So thank you very much. It is important that we buy this forever stamp. We want to make sure that we are supporting an individual whose family made an amazing contribution to the city of Springfield. So please go out and get your forever stamps. We have some that we are going to give out to individuals here today, but please buy some stamps. On behalf of the Black Leadership Alliance and the committee, let me acknowledge the committee. I may have already, but let me do it again. Denise Jordan, thank you, Denise. Ms. Tracy, thank you. Darrell Moss, thank you. Jamina Scipio McFadden, thank you. Rhonda Brace, thank you. Who am I missing? That's it. Thank you, committee. Appreciate you very much. Thank you all for coming.